President Trump's National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster is reportedly pushing for a military strike on North Korea that could have devastating consequences. Here's RT's Dan Cohen with more.
For months, National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster has been advocating a so-called bloody nose strike on North Korea.
Are we looking at a preemptive strike? Are you trying to prepare us, you being collectively the administration and people like Lindsey Graham and Tom Cotton, for a first strike at North Korea?
Well, what you're asking is are we preparing plans for a preventive war, right? A war that would prevent North Korea from threatening the United States with a nuclear weapon. And the president's been very clear about it. He said he's not going to tolerate.
Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson reportedly are opposed to attacking North Korea. I spoke to journalist Gareth Porter about the human toll of such a war.
We're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of civilians killed, thousands, even tens of thousands of U.S. troops possibly being casualties of a war that the United States would start in this way.
Porter explained McMaster's advocacy as part of a militaristic and neoconservative worldview.
What he does is to create a picture of the world that is a complete exaggeration in terms of the potential threat to U.S. interests. And so he's latched himself on to this worldview that suggests, and it's a very right-wing, neoconservative worldview, that suggests that the United States is under pressure from revisionist powers, of course, including Russia and China.
McMaster has a track record of leading military operations that failed to achieve their stated goal. He earned a reputation as a hero when he led the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment into the Iraqi city of Tal Afar in 2005. A year later, Tal Afar was awash in sectarian violence that had engulfed much of Iraq. It became one of the first cities to be overtaken by ISIS and was only liberated by the Iraqi army in 2017. Under the Obama administration, McMaster led a task force that, quote, sought to root out the rampant corruption that had taken hold in the U.S.-backed government. That effort ended in near-total failure. McMaster has failed his way to a top position in the Trump administration. With a nuclear-armed North Korea, the stakes are higher than ever.
Everyone who has really closely examined this phenomenon of McMaster's whispering campaign believes that this is a bluff. This is a way of trying to convince the North Koreans and the Chinese, who are in some ways even more important a target of this campaign, to basically give in to the U.S. demand that they come to the table without, of course, having any assurance that the United States will give up its demand for the denuclearization of North Korea. And that's simply not a realistic prospect.
It's a high-stakes gamble in a scenario straight out of the Cold War classic film, Dr. Strangelove.
We would destroy 90% of their nuclear capabilities. We would therefore prevail and suffer only modest and acceptable civilian casualties.
We know how that movie ends. In Washington, Dan Cohen, RT.